Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am working on week 9 of my 2022 Project Life album, and I am using my stash kit that I put together not that long ago. If you haven't seen the video of how I put together this kit, I will leave the link for you up here. So my photos this week, they're kind of like, some of them are kind of neutral, and some of them I specifically made them black and white because they weren't great quality photos, and the rest is kind of pink and green. So I'm gonna just embrace that. I picked out that pink polka dot paper for my bottom 6x4 card for no other reason than I love it. I've been hoarding it for literally years, so today is the day that I'm going to use that. And the rest I've kind of just kept that pink and green, and kind of I want to offset that with white. So I need some space for journaling. So I've added that white journaling card, and it's got this really pretty kind of like periwinkle blue, I guess. It's almost a lavender look, kind of sentiment at the top of that. So I'm hoping I can add a little bit more of that color into here. But I kind of struggled with the title card. I started with kind of a black and white wood grain paper, and it just felt a bit dull for kind of the brightness that the rest of the page has. And then I went with kind of a teal, and I just felt like it was a little bit kind of themey. So I'm looking through that Pink Fresh Studio pad, and I do pull out this paper. It has all of those colors. It's got like the pink and that periwinkle kind of blue. It's got a little pop of yellow. I thought it might add a few extra kind of colors in there. But it just doesn't really sit well with the rest of the spread. I think the cards that I've used were quite graphic in design, and so then having that watercolor, it just felt a little bit, just kind of off kilter a bit. So I'm going back to some of these little scrap pieces that I've got. They're from that same pad, so they do have some of that watercolor paper. I tried the yellow stripe, but it's a very overwhelmingly sort of brilliant for this page. So I've gone back to the teal, and I'm going to use these little paper scraps so that it adds a little bit more color. So it's not just this like fully teal card. It's got some of that periwinkle blue, and this is just the tiniest little touch of yellow on here, but it does kind of pull in a few more of those other colors. Now I intend to use pink alphas, so I'm bearing this in mind that this title card is going to end up with kind of all of the colors. It's going to bring together my whole spread, which was kind of the reason that I wanted to start with my title card. I've got this habit, I think, like I either leave it till very last, or I like to start my spread with it. If it's going to end up becoming kind of the starting point for the color scheme or the theme of my page, then I like to do it first. Otherwise it ends up getting left till last, and then I feel like I struggle with it a little bit more. So I'm going to use these pink alphas, and I ended up adding a label for my date stamping, of which I've picked a pink one as well. So that's kind of a brighter pink. These are the bubblegum pink foam alphas from Citrus Twist, so they're a little bit lighter. It didn't have quite the same visual impact as if they were like these super like magenta alphas. So adding that pink label just helps to kind of give it a little bit more of a pop. Now I layered those 3 papers together, and I've just adhered them together with tape runner today. Often I would stitch something like this with my sewing machine, but I don't intend to stitch anything else on the page, and so it would have looked a bit strange having stitching on the title card but nowhere else. So today I've chosen not to stitch it. I was very careful putting these alphas down, using that bottom layer of paper as kind of a shelf, and then my label, I'm going to overlap those two papers, so it kind of becomes a combining element, and then I can just go ahead and stamp my date stamp in there. This is one of those weeks that like spanned 2 months, so I have to be a little bit more careful with my stamping. So I'm just using a scrap paper to make sure that doesn't stamp onto my papers. Add my little gel pen heart in between. It's a little bit squishy on that label, but those are my kind of pre-printed digital labels, and I don't intend to like reprint labels just for Project Life. I just print a whole bunch and use what I have available. Now in this kit, I've got these really old chipboard asterisks. I mean, I really love them. They're bright and colourful. I think they were from like a one little word collection from a few years ago, and I'm still going through them. So I'm going to add as many as I can onto this layout. I'm just adding 2 onto the title card. So I added, it's not black, it's a kind of darker charcoal one, just because there's a lot of black, at least a lot of black pops in my photos, and so that kind of ties that blackness into the title card as well. Now, because I picked that pink polka dot paper for my bottom 4x6 card there, it didn't really allow me a space for journaling, and so I've just picked up another one of those 3x4 cards to use as my journaling space under there. It says it was an ordinary routine kind of day. I've just typed underneath that so that I can lift it off the top edge of the card a little bit. Some didn't have a whole lot of sort of story to fill in there, but also I want to see some of that bright pink card. I haven't put it on there to completely hide it behind photos and journaling cards. So I've pulled that up to the top. The sentiment was kind of in the right place for that to happen. And I'm going to add a couple of these pink fresh puffy stickers. I've got a little OMG one. This is a photo of Lil. She was not so subtly telling me that she was a bit bored. She disappeared one day while I was working, and I found her laying on top of my increasingly enormous laundry pile. So a not so subtle reminder that I needed to get onto that. So I'm going to add this crazy time sticker, just kind of joining that pattern paper to that white card. Now, there was still quite a lot of white space at the bottom of that. I find it a little bit harder to get these cards that are a bit thicker through my typewriter. They definitely don't type all the way to the end. So there's a little bit of a white space. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to fill up the white space. I'm going to add a little pop of color with the yellow and use up a couple more of these little asterisks. So I'm adding a yellow and a blue one just to tone down that pink and teal crazy theme that I would normally end up having. Now, my other black and white photo on this spread is just a photo of us in the evening. Well, it's of Shane and Lily anyway. Shane's playing video games and Lil is snoozing. When I take those photos in the evening, they're not particularly great quality, which is why they generally end up as black and white. I like it though because it sort of helps that green to pop, and I've just added another one of those puffy stickers on top that says busy doing nothing, which seemed appropriate for video game playing. Now I've pulled these 2 sort of cards and photos together at the same time because they're both kind of creative themed, and so I've pulled out my Get Messy stamp set from Citrus Twist, and I'm going to add some stamps directly onto this photo. I've started art journaling again, so I just took a kind of desk-scape photo there. It is pretty busy, and I did want to add a little something to it, and so I've decided just to stamp directly onto the photo. It does get a little bit lost because I'm just going to stamp in black. And I am stamping directly on my photos. I print at home on Canon Photo Glossy 2 paper, so it absorbs ink really well, which means it stamps really nicely. Just using that Memento Tuxedo black ink, but because that photo has a few little touches of black in there, I just wanted something to help that kind of stamping stand out a little bit. I'm just stacking a few of these sentiment stamps. I love that one that kind of says rating, and I'm going to end up putting a couple more of those asterisk stickers on here as well, just to kind of help draw your eye to the fact that there is stamping there. And the other photo that I've got there is a little, it's about 2¼ inch square photo. I used the pink card. The sentiment wasn't relevant, but I loved that pink color and it worked so nicely with the 4x6 card. So I decided to use it more as just a background piece, and I was just going to cover it up with the photo. The photo kind of fits. If I was really careful, I could have fit the photo over it, but I wanted to add a space to do some more stamping on here as well. So I decided to use a little bit of that watercolor kind of paper scrap there. This is, again, that kind of yellowy orange color. So just to add a little bit more color to tone down the pinkness. And I'm just going to stack 3 of these little sentiment stamps underneath here. So that's a really, really simple card, and then I can move on. I don't have a whole lot left to do. I'm going to fill in my journaling, and again, I just took that over to my typewriter. It's a bit messy. My typewriter is nothing fancy. It's just a vintage typewriter that used to belong to my grandmother. So I do the best I can, but because it's got sentimental issues, I have no intentions of replacing it anytime soon. I added one tiny little sticker to my other 3x4 card. It says something about a weekend, and this wasn't, the photo wasn't actually from the weekend, but Shane and I take Lily for a walk every day, so it literally could have been any day, and that was a sticker that I wanted to use up, so despite the photo not being from the weekend, I'm going to put it on there anyway. Now I've got one more little photo of Lil with her new pink fancy pants nappies. She's a very old dog, and she's had some health problems over the last couple of years, and she needs some nappies now. So we are just dealing with that as we come. And so I wanted to add the words fancy pants on here because that's what I call them. The pattern on the background of the photo is a little bit kind of odd. I didn't want to stamp in black because it's got those black lines on the carpet. I felt like it would have kind of distracted from the words, and so I was looking for some colored inks. I went back into my stash and I found a couple more of these chalk inks that I've been loving. Decided to test them out first, whether I would use the purple or the teal. Neither of the colors was sort of perfect for this page, but when I tested it out, this purple was definitely more on that kind of periwinkle sort of side of things, so I used that one, and I love the color. It sort of ties all of these colors together, and I just used that alpha from Citrus Twist, and it fit perfectly along the bottom. It's sort of in the same line as my title card, which I felt just continued nicely across the top of the page. And that is my spread all done. Another super simple but bright and colorful week, and I just love it. Hey, thanks for stopping by today, guys. I always appreciate it when you do. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen, or I'll see you again really soon. Bye.